How's it going, everybody? And welcome to Sox On 35th podcast. We are back on location at Wright Field here on the beautiful south side of Chicago. And my co-host, obviously, Jordan Lazowski, Nik Gaur. We always forget how tall Nick is compared to the rest of us, but here we are. And we are joined by special guest host, CHSN reporter, Connor McKnight.
Hi.
Connor, how we doing, buddy?
Guys, I'm great. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you. I'm glad you guys found your way out to the corner out here in right field. You guys know the beer is behind you, right? Fantastic.
We're all ready to go for that when the time comes.
Good to know.
Don't you worry.
Good to know. Thanks for having me.
Oh, of course. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a pleasure. The White Sox really set us up here in Leinenkugels area over here in right field. Beautiful kind of sneaky bar that people don't really know about. But
This is low-key one of the better spots. I mean, listen, the view is what it is, right? I mean, you are in the bullpen. The experience is kind of the thing. But the selection back here, especially with the Lineys, which, I went to high school in Wisconsin. I'm familiar with the product, not, in high school, obviously, much after. But it's some good stuff. Yeah, it's a good time out here.
yeah, absolutely. So, Connor, let's just jump right into it. Again, thanks for coming on. Beautiful day for baseball. Obviously, the last home game here of the year. You've called plenty of games, both on the radio, on TV. Do you have a preference?
For broadcasting?
Yeah, as far as being on TV, being on radio.
Are you talking play-by-play or just like doing pre-post and hanging out with Len and DJ or hanging out with Steve and John?
Well, I mean, I can imagine how hanging out with Steve is.
Pretty awesome. He knows everything. Yeah, it's cool.
Absolutely.
Steve, what pitch is coming next? The slider low and away. Oh, look, there it is. It's cool.
That's honestly like my favorite part about his any sort of commentary that he does. Is just he always knows what's happening. Drives Twitter crazy from what I've heard. No, but more or less, I'm just talking about like doing play-by-play on TV versus radio.
I think the best way that I've kind of come up to describe this is like, it's kind of like pitching, the two of them. One is like long relief or being a reliever, and the other is kind of like starting pitching. They're the similar skill sets, right? You have to know how to do the same thing to do both of them, but they are so different that you wouldn't just take like a short reliever and have him start the ball game, like not like an actual sixth inning. We're in the eras of openers, so I'm not talking about that. But it's a little bit like that. Radio is so fascinating because nothing happens until you say it does. I mean, that's just the nature of the medium, right? If I don't say that the pop-up went to left field and I say it went to left, then you think it went to left, right? And if I do that on TV, I'm a raving lunatic, right? And I try for that as much as possible. It's crazy to I went over and did my first TV game from doing radio in like whatever it was, 22, and you realize how different things are. Working with our producer, Chris Withers, and Brooke Fletcher, and John and Steve, of course, has been unbelievable this year because you learn so much more about how you're trying to do this and how you're trying to kind of communicate through the pictures with the viewer on television. I really haven't. This is not a cop-out answer. Len would say the same thing, I promise, and I'm from the Len Casper broadcasting tree. I really do like both. They're both incredibly different, and because they're so different, I feel like that kind of gives me license to love both kind of just as much. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I mean, it kind of feels like with radio compared to TV, you have to be a lot more descriptive. You have to be on top of every little thing that's happening, being able to describe kind of the vibe of the game. I think it's something that Len does very well. I think it's something you do very well as well, but it's so much different than what you're going to get on TV, whereas the expectation is the viewer is watching the game, and you're trying to add to it, whereas on radio it seems like you're just trying to cover everything you can.
That's the thing, and what Len will say often, the pitch is precious, right? You cannot miss a pitch on radio. On TV, there's probably 3 pitches before you have to say something about the pitches themselves in any given instance, right? If there's nothing happen, we go 2-1, and now we kind of talk about what's coming next sort of thing, as opposed to the conversation we were having about, Luis Arias or whatever it was, right? It's incredibly different. And because you have to really exercise both parts of your brain for both broadcasts very differently, it's quite a challenge. I mean, it really is.
You talk about like storytelling, some of the stories you have to tell, and to your point, it's a little different if you miss 2 pitches, it's 2-1, whatever, it's 2-1.
Right.
On TV versus on a broadcast. But you're telling these stories, you're putting them together. Is there like a process you follow for like, hey, I'm going to tell this story here, and is there maybe a favorite story you have from this season where it's like, hey, I really enjoyed putting this one together, especially like some of the stuff you were doing for like Friday Night All Access, things like that. It's a lot different, I'm sure, than just, hey, I'm doing the play-by-play today. Not that it's just the play-by-play, but more so there's that extra storytelling element that comes with it.
No doubt. I think one of the interesting things, and I hope this answers the question well. If it doesn't, we'll circle back to it. But one of the really interesting things about this team this year has been the presence of Martin Perez, right? And I totally get that to your average plugged-in Sox fan, this is all about what is Kyle Teal doing, how is Edgar Caro developing, is Chase Mydroth an everyday player, can Colson Montgomery, these are the things you guys talk about on the podcast every day, right?
Nailed all of them.
Yeah, this is it, right? But as I got closer to this team, especially the starting rotation, the number of times that these guys would point out Martin Perez as an edifying and influencing factor really kind of started to drop my jaw to the floor, to the point where you kind of go, all right, what are we doing here? Come on, are we just paying lip service to a veteran who's here? Guy got hurt and whatever. No, this guy has taught so much to dudes like Davis Martin and Cannon and Burke and Shane. It's really incredible. So I think in the past I would have been really quick to dismiss or not follow up on stories like that, doing radio pre and post or even play-by-play. It's a veteran. How much juice is this? How sexy is this story kind of to sell? And I don't know if you guys caught the game on last night on Saturday. We talked to Davis Martin after a really good start on Friday night. And I asked him a little bit about, having Dylan Cease as a mentor and Martin Perez, as well. And Martin comes up and literally hugs Davis Martin while I'm talking to him on the broadcast, because that's kind of the environment they've created. I was talking to one starter at one point early in the season. And I said, how's Martin kind of folded into this whole thing? And he was like, well, listen, we got out here in spring training, right? They're starting to throw bullpens. And they were a little bit nervous, all of them, a lot of young guys, right? And they go, man, Martin is obvious. We're going to let him set the pace here. He's the veteran. We'll let him kind of influence how this year is going to go. And Martin has I think it was his first or second spring training start, and he is just whipping around. He's getting lit. And he comes back in and tells the guys, man, I'm hurting today. And they're like, well, what's wrong, Martin? He's like, well, I'm turning my neck every 2 pitches. I'm losing. And then finally the guys all go, he's one of us. And that's how this season started for this rotation and this bullpen and these arms. And you just can't, even in a season where so much of what we're all talking about is, are these youngsters developing? It's really worthwhile noting the kind of veteran influences and growth that those veterans can inspire from guys. And it's not just Martin with the pitchers. He's been influential on some of the hitters as well. That stuff matters, and the front office had to get this right, and at least with Martin, they absolutely have.
Yeah, and that's interesting too, because when you talk about the millennial player versus the Gen Z player, for lack of a better term, I've been curious, not just Martin Perez, but when you have older players like that with younger players, when you have, you've been around for a while now, so you've seen the White Sox over the years, have you noticed any differences in terms of the ways that players maybe prepare for games or take in information, anything like that? It doesn't have to be generational necessarily, but has there been a change over time?
Yeah, I think to a certain degree. I can remember I got started covering this team in 2010. I worked as a minor league intern with the Carolina, the Pelicans, right? They were the Myrtle Beach Pelicans. And at the time, they were a Braves affiliate, and Tyler Flowers was there. So I got to know him pretty well when he was a minor leaguer and tearing up the Carolina League. I show up in the clubhouse a little bit, a few years later, and so does Tyler after the trade. And he looks at me and he goes, oh, God, not again. And I said, I'm so sorry. And we, he's a great, great guy. But I can remember talking to him and some others, in that era, where it was very much wary of the data in that, yeah, I'm interested in this. I don't know what it does for me. I kind of wish I had somebody who explained what this does better. But also, I don't want it. And I'm not saying Tyler was necessarily like that, just to locate the era, right? And now guys are, from top to bottom, at the very least conversant in stuff like exit velocities and spin rates and, all this kind of load and deload and counter acceleration and all that kind of stuff. And they can watch your Kinatrax or your, Rapsodos or whatever and do the work themselves. And also to have a guy like Ethan Katz and Joel McKeithen on the hitting side, that's really valuable. And I think their willingness to play with the data is a lot more notable than it was in the past. That doesn't mean that there aren't guys who just kind of want to see it and throw it, or see it and swing. That still happens. I would say the data is kind of the biggest thing. I think it's a really good question, Nick, to ask coaches the next time you get them on that have been here for a little while too, because I can't speak to how guys actually ingest the data. But I think coaches would tell you that there's been a lot of changes too, and they've had to change some as well, which is why I think this coaching staff in particular is a really interesting one because they've done that changing, you know?
And I think it's cool too because like you get to, like you said, you don't maybe see them necessarily or see how they intake it, but you just get to see the conversations that are had and things like that. And especially like I mentioned before, the Friday Night All Access stuff. Like that is a really, really cool thing to be able to have for the fans. And you know, having done it, I would consider it a success. I assume you guys all feel the same way.
Do we.
I was going to say, it's the first thing that a lot of fans think of now. It's like, wow, it's a cool addition to the broadcast. You know, heading into 2026, is it one, something you want to bring back? Yeah. And number two, is there anything being turned around like, hey, maybe this is something we could add to this to change a little bit or add something new to it?
It is. I would be stunned. We all want it back badly. We love doing it. It's truly it's a lot of work, and especially when, you know, Brooke is here, and obviously she's got college football in the fall, but like she does. You guys don't even the amount of prep and work she puts into this, and I mean she's the star of All Access outside of Chris Withers, who puts this all together for us. We're coming back with Friday Night All Access. Otherwise, they're going to hear from me, right? I mean, everybody loves it so much. And I think we do have wrinkles. I couldn't say what they are because Chris Withers keeps that very close to the vest, even from us. But there are absolutely surprises coming. And the stuff that was really cool this year about Friday Night All Access was the players buying in. Like, the whole bullpen tour, that was Mike Vassal's idea. From Mike Talkman. Like the two guys were like, hey, we should do this. And they brought it to Brooke. So then we went out there and looked at all the stuff that nobody knows what it does, the exercise equipment that everyone's like, I've never touched this before in my life, but it's been here for years. I don't know. So like that kind of stuff comes from players, and that kind of buy-in is, I mean, we really appreciate it from those guys.
Well, I was trying to get a little bit more out of you, but, you know, it's nice to at least hear that it's coming back.
Absolutely.
I know we have a few minutes left.
Yeah.
And one thing I would like to do, and we're going to do this with all our guests today, rapid fire questions. First thing that comes to mind, you don't have to think too hard about it. I just want to hear what you've got to say.
Okay.
So you ready?
Yeah.
All right, which actor would play you in a movie?
Living or dead, does it matter?
Doesn't matter.
Dick Van Dyke.
That is impressively fast.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I've thought about it.
You had that one ready to go.
I've done a lot of radio over the years. Dick Van Dyke's my guy, yeah.
Top thing on your bucket list?
Man. Well, I don't know if it's the top thing, but I was thinking about this the other day. My folks were up in northern Wisconsin, and they saw the Northern Lights with all the. I mean, that is going somewhere. Probably not Wisconsin because I've been there a lot. But like, if we could do like an Alaska trip or something like that, and do the Northern Lights, that is up there for me. I don't know why, but that's just like spiritual.
What temperature? This is from Joe Binder. Okay. What temperature do you set your thermostat on before bed?
Joe, that's hilarious. Joe, listen, if you think I'm married with a 2.5-year-old, if you think that I have any control over the thermostat whatsoever, you're insane. I don't have control. George, I don't have control over the thermostat. I pray that it's set to a normal human temperature when we go to bed at night, and typically it's 54. We sleep in Ice Station Zebra. That's where we sleep. It's I have no control whatsoever.
Fair. All right, so if you had a walk-up song or a song where you're like, hey, I'm coming into the booth.
Sabotage by the Beastie Boys.
That was, again, impressively fast.
Well, I mean, this one, like, we all played. I knew it was sad. My good friend, Will Becker, played college ball at Vanderbilt, and he was a very, very good catcher. He caught a backswing on the mitt, which like destroyed his hand. And he goes to the doctor, and he's like, "Hey, so really glad you got hit in the hand with the mitt, because the only thing that's keeping your hand together is the fact that you came in with the mitt on. So good for you." Shout out to Will. This dude had immense power. I mean, it's like 65 kind of stuff in game, all crazy. Anyway, he was like, I would have, had I gotten to the bigs, and he probably could have, it would have been Sabotaged by the Beastie Boys. So out of solidarity, and because the Beastie Boys rock, like. Sabotaged by the Beastie Boys.
That's a good one. Nick approves. So
thank you.
And then our final question, we know you're a Wisconsin guy.
I am.
Is Luke Fickell on the hot seat?
Yes. Oh my God. He's on the hot seat. He's on a two-legged stool. The man is perched atop a crevasse that will soon fall beneath him. I can't. And I was so, you guys, if we're going to end with,
I'm sorry.
I was so excited when he came in, even with Phil Longo as the offensive coordinator, and they were like, hey, we're going to play football like it's 2025. And I'm like, great, thank God. Let's get us out of the 80s for like the briefest of moments. And then they go out there and lay egg after egg after egg. And I wasn't expecting them to cover the 21.5 against Alabama. Nobody was. It's a backup quarterback who's doing the best damn job he possibly could. But we weren't going to cover. And still you get blown out. And then you lose to Maryland. Maryland.
That was embarrassing.
It's unbelievable. Like, I am the most Pollyanna-ish. Wisconsin football is the only sport left to me where I get to turn on the television at 11 o'clock on Saturdays and just go, please, just tell me what's going to happen. I don't want to know anything about this anymore. Tell me what's going to happen. And then I keep on finding out I've been watching the same football game since I was there in 2005 after John Stocco left. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm in
so much pain.
I'm a fellow Wisconsin fan. I actually live up in Madison.
Oh,
and
God.
It is, the vibe up there is so uncontrollably low. It's unbelievable.
Not good. Not good.
Well, I'm sorry I asked, but thank you for coming on.
You and me both.
I appreciate
guys, anytime. I'm an avid fan and a longtime listener. I appreciate what you guys do for everybody. I tell Sox fans this, and I've said this on the pregame and postgame show when it's on the radio a lot. Sox fans are very blessed to have guys like you and the rest of the podcasts that are here today. I don't know that there's another fan base that has as many that care as much, and you guys do an awesome job and a really cool fan service. So thanks for doing what you do.
Thank you,
appreciate
Connor.
that.
Very much
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Absolutely.